Talk Shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. My name is William Hayashi. I'll be your host for tonight, and I am privileged to have a twofer tonight. We have Andre Batts and Maia Williams, and both of them are involved in Detroit's Motor City Black Age Comics Convention, which is coming up next weekend, right, guys?
Correct.
And
September 27th and 28th.
Right. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into their history, some of the things that they've done in the past, and some of the things that are some exciting things that are coming up for the future. But I'd like to welcome you both to the show, and, of course, thank you for showing up on a Friday night.
And thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so which one of you wants to, let's do this. Let's talk about the show first, and let's talk about basically, let's go over what the show is, and then we'll look a little bit at the history, and also give the audience a little bit of information about what the schedule is, and we'll also post up and give people an idea of where to go for more information. Give one of the two of you, and you guys can wrestle it out. Why don't you describe the show and what people can expect if they show up?
Well, first off,
Go ahead, Andrew.
in describing the show, it's created for urban American youth, in particular Detroit. It was established back in 2009. Patterned itself after, the East Coast Black Age of comics and the Black Age, which is in Chicago. Started the same year as Onyx Con. We started the same year. And we started off at a bookstore called the Shrine of the Black Madonna. And we created, to reach out because we knew there was more people out there that were into the comic book genre, black science fiction and things of that nature. So once we started reaching out, we've gotten to this point where we are now. We're starting to get more vendors from across the nation, more artists, across the nation, people that are very interested in what we were doing. Right now, it's going really good for us right now. Mm-hmm.
And what kinds of give us an idea of what kinds of events, what kinds of what kinds of things people will see and they can participate in this upcoming show. And this is coming up next weekend for those of you who may be in the area and want to attend. Give us a little idea of what kind of events and what kind of things people can participate in over that weekend.
Well, we have a panel discussion with myself, Arvell Jones, which I don't know if everyone is familiar with Arvell Jones, which they should. He's one of the ones who helped create Misty Knight. He worked on Cobalt for Milestone. He worked on Ironside and different Marvel titles and a few DC titles. Abdul Rashid is coming in town. We're doing a drawing workshop, basic drawing workshop. And we're also doing a drawing workshop with Sean Aline. We have a development of your character workshop with Joe D. McPhee. We have the screening of the Dreadlocks animated movie that Friday evening at approximately 7 o'clock. Well, we have so much that's going to be going on. I don't have the schedule on my hand right now, but Crown may be able to touch more into that even more. I'm sure she may have it.
All right. Well, tell you what. Since it's kicking off Friday night, would you say that the screening is probably the opening of the weekend?
Well, the opening of the weekend will be the White Scripts Black Superman, which was a documentary done by Jonathan Kells out of Atlanta, and he touches more on the whole genre as a whole and what has been created by other people as it relates to us. And then we go into the Black Age, and then that's when the Dreadlocks animated movie kicks in to kick it all off.
And I understand that you had something to do with the Dreadlocks movie?
Yes, I did some artwork in it. You know, I did quite a bit of artwork myself and Robert Mathis. I wrote the story, you know, of course. And I should say screenwriting. I helped do some screenwriting with it. I did quite a bit with it. It's self-animated.
Well, cool. Tell us a little bit about the movie.
Well, I'm not going to tell you about the movie. You know, I prefer people to actually see the movie, rent it whenever I can get it on Netflix.
Well, I wasn't going to have you. Yeah, I wasn't going to have you give the whole script away or anything. But well, let me ask you this: Is it appropriate for children? I mean, those kinds of things. Who's your target audience for the movie?
Well, the age bracket for this movie is all ages, just like our Motor City Black Age of Comics. I didn't get too graphic with it at all because, you know, I wanted to appeal to the mothers who are bringing their kids out that are, you know, under a certain age. So It's appealing to everyone for the most part. And it's not kiddie in the sense of an adult wouldn't appreciate the movie. So it's approximately 120 minutes long. I think, no, 180, not 180, but somewhere 90 minutes long, somewhere around there. It's not exactly 90 minutes, but maybe a little shorter. And like I say, it's age appropriate, G-rated. You know, what else can I say about it? And
no, that's good. I mean, you know, you want to let people know that it's a movie that should appeal to all ages, and that parents need not be, you know, concerned whether or not their kids come and see something that might be inappropriate.
Right. Well, they're not.
All right.
They won't have to worry about that. It's appropriate for all ages.
Okay, and then the Saturday events kick off at what time in the morning?
Kicks off at 11 a.m.
And what kinds of things are going on?
What kicks off at 11 a.m. and ends at 6 p.m. Our first workshop starts at 11:30. If I'm correct, am I right, Crow? Hello?
Yeah, I'll let them know when I talk. I'll give them the full schedule.
Okay, well, that's what he was asking for, so you may want to share that with you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. On Friday, which is our networking night and our movie premiere night, the networking as far as the networking night is, we want to give new artists, writers, and people who are just interested in starting out but haven't yet, we want to give them a one-on-one time with the artist, more personal, when there's not a million people there and they could talk to the artist, people that own business and want to do product placement with the artist, people that want to, you know, purchase certain artwork for their own product and vice versa, just networking in general. That's Friday night, as well as there will be performances by Detroit Blue and his band Epiphanies of Sound. Mm-hmm. We're going to have spoken word artist Kevlar from Black Tie Collective, and we'll also have Freeway. And then we'll also have the movie. So on Friday, September 27th at 6:15, we'll have Detroit, 6 o'clock, the doors open, 6:15, Detroit Blue and his band will perform. And then at 6:30, we'll have White Script's Black Superman movie viewing. That is another movie that's prominent in the Black comic book family. 7:30, Kevlar will perform. 7:45, the premiere of Dreadlock's animated movie. And then at 8 o'clock, it'll be just the last hour to network. So we'll have an hour in the beginning and then like an hour at the end for all the people to network and do what they need to do. You know what I mean? There'll be refreshments and everything. And then on Saturday, September 28th, the doors open at 11 a.m. Mike Wright will be our host for the majority of the day. Mike Wright, his name is Chase Morris. He not only is a world-renowned spoken word artist and national champ, he's also an MC out of the Detroit group Coleman Young, which is a play on our old famous mayor, Coleman Young. He's very known in the community, so he'll be starting at like 11:30, welcoming the guests, probably perform and stuff like that. 12 o'clock, Joe D. McPhee. He's a writer, and he has comic books, but he's mostly known for doing writing classes, and he's doing a comic book development class. 12 o'clock, Eli Ivory. He'll be doing a comic storytelling one-on-one. That's for youth. That's one of our 3-4 things that we have for youth, because we want to make sure that the youth have classes as well. A lot of comic book conventions don't have that for children. You know, they have comic books for them to purchase, but they don't really have activities for the children. So we wanted to make sure that the children didn't get left out this year. At 12:30, we have Abdul Rashid. He's doing a basic character development. He's also from Detroit, Michigan. He's also prominent in Motor City Black Age alumni. He participates every year as well. He also will be doing live drawing as he did the previous years. At 1 o'clock, MC and spoken word artist The Essence will perform. She's very well known as well in Detroit as also around the state. She has 2 or 3 albums out in the city. She's also performed at many Motor City Black Ages. She's performed with many prominent artists, Talib Kweli, Mos Def, many other people. 1 o'clock also will be Cameron Reynolds. He has a lot of comic books. I think he has 3 or 4 different comic book series alone, and he has like 5 or 6 comic books within each series. And he's also doing a cartooning with Cam Comics, which is also a youth class. So that's another youth activity. Also at 1 o'clock, we have 3 things at 1 o'clock. Keith Young. Keith Young is a knowledge seeker. He does knowledge of self classes all around the state of Michigan. He also is an instructor at Youthville, Detroit, where the event will actually take place. He's doing his Path of the Hero character development class. It's like a class, and it's also a lecture and workshop. 2 o'clock, Poetic Menace performs. That is our third. It's our 1/3. It's Andre, Mark, and myself. His name is Mark Blackshear, and his stage name is Poetic Menace. So it's not just me and Andre. It's also Mark. Mark was also one of the founders of Motor City Black Age, and he's also an MC in Detroit, and he'll be performing at 2 o'clock. Also at 2 o'clock is Tab Cat, and they will be doing Brazilian African martial arts. That's also for the youth. Not only will they be doing martial arts, they'll also be encouraging the children to bring instruments of whatever kind, so they'll be doing that as a full class as well. All these classes are free. I forgot to say that in the beginning. We're not charging for anything other than raffle tickets and whatever the vendors individually are selling on their table. So that'll be at 2 o'clock, and that'll be in the auditorium. 2:15, Sean Alleen. He's doing an illustration class. Sean Alleen, he also is the person that did our mascot logo for this year. So he's very talented as well, like very, very talented. Oz Wilson is also at 2:15. He's from Detroit. He's doing a creative writing and screenplay writing workshop. And then at 3 o'clock, we're doing the panel discussion with multiple different writers, authors, and illustrators. So we'll have a panel for about 30, 40 minutes. And then at 3:40, am I talking too much?
Well, I mean, you know, maybe it might be easier if, I mean, do you have the whole schedule up on the Motor City website?
It should be up there.
Yes.
Yeah, because that might save you from having to say all those things. But let me ask you this: going back to Friday night, what are you charging people for to get into the movies? You know, what can they expect to spend? You know, in case they want to bring their kids. Everything's free.
It's absolutely
free. Right.
That's what I wanted to tell you. Yes, the entire convention is free. It's free admission. It's all ages. We want to make sure families can afford to bring all of their children, their grandparents, whoever wants to come. We don't want it to be any excuse. We're more focused on getting them there and making profit.
Yeah.
We make profit off our table. We want to make sure that children are able to see something that they've never seen. We're the only comic book convention of any type of culture in the state of Michigan that's free, I believe, unless someone corrects me on it. The only ones that Maia has seen, any ones that Crown has seen. So I don't know, but I know that our event has always been free. So the only thing we're selling is the raffle tickets, because we have a lot of things that we're giving away for the raffle. That's the only
What are
thing
some?
we're selling. Is
Yeah.
raffle.
What are some of the things that you'll be giving away for the raffle?
We're giving away
We have
different comic books from different artists and creators. We're giving away the last year's icon that was done by Machindo. We got a large painting of that. That's going to be given away. What were you going to say, bro? Posters, T-shirts, the whole nine. We're packaging them up, and we're going to give them away that way.
That's great. And then the proceeds that you collect go to maybe the next Motor City, or where they go?
Youthville in the Motor City Black Age Comics.
Yeah, man, that's great.
We're not corporate funded. We don't have anybody's big name. The only big names on top of our flyer is Andre Betts and Crown Williams. We the
Mark Blackshear. Mark Blackshear in Youthville.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, so that's we don't have corporation funding, so the money always goes towards the next year for funding of promotion and media and all of that.
Well, that's still great because you've been doing this for several years now, and you're at the point where you're doing well enough that the barrier to attending for families, for kids and everything is very low. All they have to do is show up. I think that's
right.
That's something that should be lauded for being able to provide this level of entertainment to the people who, your patrons at a zero entrance cost. So that's, that's great. So now, tell me a little bit about. Okay, you were the screenwriter for the movie, Andre, right? And
myself and Robert Mathis.
Yeah, is this live action? Is this 2D or 3D animated? What kind of movie are we talking about? And I don't want you to give away anything. I just want to let people know because we have a lot of content creators who would probably be fascinated with what you were able to put together.
Well, it's a 3D animated movie. It's based off iClone, which is a program software that they use in Japan. I guess it's just recently got over here in the United States.
Sure.
And that's what we're using for the movie. So it's not 2D. It's more 3D than anything.
Okay.
So, and it's, like I said, it's going to be good. It's good.
All right.
Have a little comedy in it, action.
I'm sure somebody will be reviewing it next weekend for us, so that'll be great.
Right.
Right. All right. So let's go back to the very first Motor City that you pulled off, and tell us the evolution of that. Obviously you had the idea. Obviously you'd been to other places, but how did you go about the mechanics of putting together, your own black content convention like this?
Well, what initially happened back in 90, I keep saying 90 for some reason, 2009, it may have been 2008, Brother Uni, who runs the East Coast Black Age Comics, he had contacted me and asked me to hook up with a brother named Abayomi Allen, because Abayomi Allen was interested in doing a Black Age right here in Detroit. So I was like, well, give him my number. He's right here. So give him my number. It's no problem. I'll be more than, happy to participate. I'm thinking as a vendor in the Motor City Black Woods. Well, at that point, we didn't have a name for it. I'll be more than happy to participate in a Black Age movement right here in Detroit. And so we had did it at the bookstore, Shrine of the Black Madonna. They have some rooms upstairs. We had a small room upstairs, which was actually their biggest room. We did it there. We had maybe 12 people there total in attendance.
Okay.
We had brother, we had Lamoris Richmond here, Chicago. We had Tim. What was his last name? We had a brother named Tim was here from Chicago, and it was just myself and my partner Kevin Hallman. So we looked at it like, wow, this is something that we could really improve on. Mark was here, Mark Blackshear, he was part of it. We had a little speaker box for the sound system and everything we did. It was really low budget compared to now. But, you know, I've seen the potential in it. So the following year, we did it at a place called Russell Bazaar, which is an industrial complex turned into is a flea market turned into a big time industrial complex. It's made up pretty good as far as some of the rooms are concerned. So we did it there. We had growth there. We had quite a few people there. I think we had maybe 100 there. That was the second year. We had Turtel only here from Chicago. We had and everybody else that was here doing the show were all from Detroit. Abdul Rashid, he had just moved out to Ohio maybe a year prior, but he's been living in Ohio all this time. Then we did year 3, me, Mark, and that's when I met Crown down at the African World Festival because I was doing a show with African World Festival. It's a Motor City Black Age of Comics. And when I met her, we connected and we started making moves. And we did it a third year at Insuroma Institute, which is an Afrocentric school located on the east side of Detroit at the time. And we had about the same in attendance as we had the second year.
Right.
But we had more interest in it, but we just didn't have the attendance in the sense of, you know, how many people as far as outside of the comic book artists that were there. Fourth year, which was last year, it was a drastic change because social media, you know, allowed that to happen. Because with social media, you're able to reach out to more people. And we had the nice icon done, you know. And next thing you know, we had more people than I expected. I was really surprised by that because I was going with the numbers that happened the year before. And it amazed me. Yeah. So this year, it seems like we're going to have even more just by the response that we're getting from, you know, last year's people that came out and the people that didn't make it out last year. They got the word for what happened last year. And we're doing it, you know, at Youthville. And I think Youthville is really the key to what brought all the people out because last year that number had changed quite a bit. And this year, you know, I think it's going to change even more. You know, more than confident it's going to, you know, we even got Brother Jarvis coming up from Atlanta, so you know we're doing it big.
Well, actually, he's coming from Tennessee. Don't let him fool you. In case
he got me thinking in Atlanta.
Well, if he's trying to get some gas money out of you, I could see where he would try to add some miles on there. But, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, that's a very short time. You look at 2009 to now, that's 4 years. Let's call it 5 years. To have grown as large as you can shows how successful you've been in planning and executing the conference, you know, so the convention. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And then it sounds like you have a lot of affinity partners or at least people that you're in contact, you know, New York, the other places like that. So the growth seems to be all going in the right direction. Are you, I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard to ask the question, are you satisfied? Because, of course, you want it to be good, but I think anybody who puts something like this together wants to be able to say, well, you know, yes, this year was X. Next year it's going to be X times 2. Am I correct?
Correct. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah. So
and the following year we're looking at even more.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk the nuts and bolts. You know, here it is. This is coming up in in 1 week. Give us a little idea of where you start to do your planning in the year. You know, like when did you actually start doing the hard planning for this year? Because people really should know what it takes to do something successfully. Anybody can have a whole bunch of people in a bookstore and come in for the weekend where you started because it's, you know, when you start, it's small. You know, you don't have as much of a presence. You know, but take us through 2013 and, you know, how you built this up and got ready for next weekend.
Well, we actually started maybe a week after the last event, 2012.
Okay.
For real.
We had to put some things together on where we felt we were lacking at and where we felt we could improve and what was perfect for the event. So January, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Crown, but in January, Crown posted the event page up to get everything started. You know, because we also ran a discount. What was that again, Crown?
January 1st.
January the 1st, we ran a discount.
Made me wait till January.
Right. Yeah, I had to make her wait, exactly, because she's determined to get it on there sooner. But I felt that would have been, you know, too far in advance, and I wanted it to be fresh in everyone's memory. But in January, we set it up where we had the discounted for, you know, the people that were there last year and those that wanted to jump on board. You know, we offered that to them. So a lot of people were really interested in that, so they jumped on board, like, right away. And then you had... they jumped on it right away, and then you had those that were hopping on it later on, but, you know, through time, prices changed. But needless to say, they started seeing more people interested in, you know, coming to the Motor City Black Age, or, you know, they want to see who was going, you know how sometimes we want to go based on somebody's name or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the value of having known headliners, because, you know, content creators that are known bring in other people, you know, other content creators and people who want to attend the show. I mean, that's your draw. So, yeah.
Well, most importantly, when you're talking content drawers, we're more or less concerned about content and people that are producing content on a consistent basis. You know, we and I know that we have several individuals out here that have created content maybe 10 years ago, and they're still trying to use that same content. So we're trying
their laurels,
to continue. Yeah. Right. They're just, you know, doing things based on their name only, but they don't have any new content. So with that being said, we like to get guys out and ladies out here with new content, new ideas, whatever. That's why we run our convention the way we run it, because it's different from the other cons, black or white. It's different from all of them.
So you know, yes, you would like to have some classically known people, but you sound like you are devoted to and focused on bringing new talent to the forefront. Would that be fair?
Yes, I believe in that. Because, you know, don't get me wrong, I like, you know, the old heads. I'll just say it like that. I like what they're doing. I like what they set up for us. That's cool. And I like for them to continue supporting and come out, just like I like for us to support them.
Yeah.
You know, that needs to happen, bridge that gap like that. But we need that new content. When you get the younger artists coming out with their ideas, they bring new content. And even the older artists, they need to bring new content.
Sure.
You know,
and yeah, you want to keep stuff fresh. I mean, obviously, if somebody made a big splash, you know, a long time ago, and they're doing well, obviously they may not be as hungry and as creative, as busy. You definitely want to be able to say, you know, there's a certain amount of, you know, certain people owe this person for, you know, presenting talent and even for mentoring and inspiring other people. But there are so many venues now, there are so many genres, and there are so many tools available that level that playing field that there's almost an unlimited amount of creative people out there you could draw from. How do you go about the process of picking and choosing the people that you want to highlight in your convention?
Well, we highlight everyone. We don't, pick and choose one person to highlight. The reason why I'm saying that, I understand what you're asking. Everybody there is highlighted because we don't want anyone to get the impression that they're the only reason why people come to our show. We had a situation last year where an individual came and they thought that they were the highlight of the show. And I had to explain it to the individual that that's not the case. The case is we're bringing the black age of creation, of creativity to these youth that need to see this. That's what we're doing.
Right.
We're not highlighting Andre Batts. We're not highlighting Jason Reeves. We're not highlighting Abdul Rashid, Sean Ali. Of course, these are some damn good artists. I can't say that right. Damn good artists.
Right.
And, they're doing good work. We want people to see what they're doing. That's why we invite them. But the highlight is the event itself.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, this is not an ego stroke. What this is a presentation of a creative world that a lot of people wouldn't see otherwise. I mean, that's the value of you bringing all of this together and presenting it in a way that, seriously, the whole family can come out and see things that they normally would never have found otherwise, correct?
Correct. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. All right, so...
Hello?
Yes?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My phone had disconnected.
Okay, well, obviously you paid the bill, so that's cool. Oh, man.
I wanted to say something real quick, though. I wanted to say something really quick as far as what Andre was saying, because I was only off for like 10 seconds. But anyway, I wanted to reiterate something. This event is from Detroit, and one thing we're not going to do here is highlight and glamorize anyone, especially if they're not from Detroit. We don't get recognition for much, and we're trying to, for Motor City Black Age, we're trying to, more importantly, unlike a lot of other comic book conventions, we put Motor City Black Age because we take that seriously. So we want to make sure that people in Detroit know about Detroit artists. So we're definitely not going to highlight somebody all the way from the West Coast. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
no.
We're not even highlighting Joe Schmo from West 7 Mile and Greenfield. So why would we?
Right.
Why would we uplift someone else when we're not even uplifting people in our own backyard?
No. I understand, and that explains exactly where my invitation went. So no, this makes perfect sense to me. I'm kidding. I am kidding. But obviously it is important. I mean, when you look at, what do people hear in the news about Detroit? Oh, it's been taken over by, that white consultancy and they're screwing the unions, and way back in the 90s when I was there, it looked like Beirut and blah blah blah. And we know, to know different, to know that there's as much talent as there is out there, and to know that there's that kind of creativity that's going on in that city. People don't hear that. That's not in the news. That doesn't generate the same kind of buzz. So it is important to be able to put on a convention that highlights local talent and highlights it in a positive way, because, obviously those stories don't get out. Which begs the question, what are you guys doing to publicize this beyond, the city limits? And obviously you're on this show. Do you have a media blitz? What's your media plan that you have going, excuse me, to get people, to get the word out?
Well, the internet, social media, the internet in any way, shape, or form has helped tremendously in a sense of getting the word out outside of Detroit. Locally, we just got a write-up on out of one of our local newspapers, Michigan Citizen. We just did an interview just the other day with CW, like CW, CBS, which is an internet interview that we did. So that's going to get around for people that watch CW50.com. That should be posted tonight, as a matter of fact. We got an article right now this is an article, but an advertisement in Metro Times, which is outside of Detroit. It's in Detroit, but outside of Detroit at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We have Youthville, the organization. They're doing their publicity right now. So we're getting the word out as far as outside of Detroit. That's why, that level playing field with social media has helped out, and that's how it's gotten out there outside of Detroit. Because a lot of people that are coming that signed up in the sense of to come here, they're from out of state.
Right.
And we have a lot, obviously, from Detroit as well.
And so you've got this multi-year history. At this point, obviously you know the nuts and bolts of putting this thing together. What's the hardest part in terms of organizing and getting the doors open for you guys?
Well, the hardest part, I think, is getting sometimes your own people to understand what you're trying to do. Because we still got a perception in our head. And we still got this perception in our head as far as blacks, African American, whatever they choose to call themselves, that they don't have that strong support for the comic industry, the comic genre. They still look at it as being the funnies or whatever. That's what they consider it. They still haven't gotten it in their head that Iron Man, $1 billion franchise, Avengers, $1 billion franchise. Well, San Diego Comic-Con, $1 billion enterprise. New York Comic-Con, $1 billion enterprise. It's a reason why these people, these companies, organizations, and movies have blew up the way they did. It's because we're supporting that, but we're not supporting what our own are doing.
Right.
We have a nice support group, but it's not where we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we think it should be more out there, a lot more. Once we get that, then you'll have more. You have more going on, and it'll blow up out of nowhere, even more so than it was last year. Or
what do you think?
This year.
Yeah. So, what do you think the threshold is? What is making it hard to get the kind of traction that you would like to get for this event, and basically for Black creative science fiction and fantasy? Where do you think what's keeping the rubber from meeting the road in the way that you would like to see it happen?
Well, once we get sponsored by a Caucasian organization, that'll be the stamp right there. Because our people still seem to follow that. They follow that model only. And, we can get a stamp by all kind of African American organizations or whatever the case may be. But once we get that stamp of approval, I guarantee you they'll jump on board real quick. Can you chime in, Crown, or you got anything to say to that?
I was just it's so much for me to say because as far as like support, it's really hard to get your own people to support you, especially when it comes to something on comic books. I get some of the most ridiculous answers sometimes when I ask people to come to the comic book convention. They'll be like, well, I'll be like, make sure you bring your children. It's a free event. It's a huge event. Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? I don't be in the comic books. I didn't ask you. I said bring your children. You don't know how you know your children don't want to come. So
right.
If a Spider-Man, Superman, somebody else man movie comes out, they're first in line tweeting, tumbling, Facebooking, Pinteresting every single picture just in the hallway of the theater to let everybody know they went on opening night. And they're spending $10, $12. and not just for the ticket. But they can't come in their own neighborhood for free and bring their children to see 50, 60 tables of books that look like them. And I find that absurd. I find that absolutely absurd. So that's the biggest problem, is having people support. And then also, like, you know, I must go there as far as us being from Detroit. You know, sometimes Andre, especially because I just started working with him three and a half years ago, and he gets hated on a lot. You know what I mean? I'm just being real. You know, and it's certain artists, you know, big shot artists that's been around a long time. You know, they're more hesitant to come and support Motor City Black Age, but Andre travels all across the U.S. 50 months a year to all of their stuff and pays full price for tables. But then if we ask them to come, you know, it's more hesitation. So it's just like support in all parts. You know, I'm ridiculously astounded this year by how many vendors are coming. But at the same time, I'm not, because of all the million pictures that we had that covered last year. So now everybody trying to, you know, jump ship. You know, so now everybody's like, oh, so-and-so coming? Oh, then, okay, well, since so-and-so coming, then I'm going to get a table too. You know, all it takes is one so-and-so, and we have two so-and-sos this year. So because those two so-and-sos are coming to the convention, everybody wants to come to, everybody wants to come to the convention this year and get a table. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do in the comic book industry. I'm learning. You know, I'm not as friendly as Andre, so, you know, I'm more verbal with my thoughts sometimes. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, people don't like to hear the truth at times, you know. So I'm just happy that we have so many vendors this year. Like, we have a lot of vendors. It's going to be kind of confusing trying to get all the tables in there. You know, we have a lot of vendors this year. So I find that to be a huge blessing in everybody from Detroit, because it's not, we don't just look at it like, oh, it's me, Mark, and Andre's event. This is Detroit's event, because Detroit gets a lot of bad press all year long from everybody all over the world. Detroit is like enemy of the state. So, like, what I always try to inflict in is, as long as I contribute to something positive in Detroit, then I did my job. And if it's through some comic books or visual arts, then, you know, I'm okay with that, because we really need positive events, especially for children and elders in the city of Detroit, to be highlighted as much as possible. Because, you know, Detroit is a beautiful place.
Sure. Now, during the year, you know, well in advance before the convention, what kind of community outreach do you do, if you do any, you know, to school-age kids, to teens, you know, do you do any community outreach to try to increase the, you know, the walk-in traffic and the participation?
Well, I've done.
Well, as far as the comic book convention, we have Black Comic Book Day, and that's also free. It's like a small version of Motor City Black Age. In many states around the U.S., they have what you call Black Comic Book Day. What is that, the second weekend in February, Andre?
It can be the second or third weekend of February. And then also
third weekend, yes, we do that.
Then also go around as Urban Style Comics, you know. It's, you know, being who I am, Urban Style Comics, creator of Dreadlocks. You know, I'm invited to different schools or whatever for a career day and things of that nature. You know, I talk to the kids and let them know about the Motor City Black Age and different events that we have going on.
Sure.
So that helps too.
Well, and plus you mentioned that you have, you know, various events, or you have panel discussions on content creation and drawing and things like that. Are those well attended?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And is it a lot of kids, or are you looking?
The first event I did for him was a book signing, and that book signing was like more packed out than the Motor City Black Age that we did, which was crazy.
Okay.
I did the book signing back in.
Had so many people support him for that. you know.
Yeah, that was just
it was a lot of people for that book.
And they just came out and showed the support. And it was just word of mouth or whatever when we did that. And it was a smaller bookstore and people standing room only.
Literally. Yeah.
Well, okay, literally. So
it was a really nice.
You know, you have your kickoff events on Friday, and then you have the main event on Saturday. How soon do you think it's going to be before you have like a true 2-day event where you've got your reception on Friday night, and then you have content and participation through the whole weekend? Is that something you're looking to build into?
I am aiming for that, and I was really testing this year out to see how this year works out.
Sure.
And if it kicks off well, which it will, then I may be leaning towards a full weekend next year or the year after, at least the year after for sure. I'm leaning towards a full weekend. That way,
because it also depends on what venue we have it at. We don't always want to always have stuff at the same venue. We want to rotate venues because Detroit is a big place. Detroit is a big place to be, so we never have guarantees of where we're going to be, where we're not going to be. We want to also shed love to other venues as well, because I know me being out here and doing what I do, venues show a lot of love to me. So, like, I always want to never be stagnant with any event I have, So it also, it depends on the venue. It also depends on the financing, and the participation and the sponsorship. That'll involve me doing more grant writing, you know what I mean, and Andre doing stuff. So, it all depends. We just happy that we're there even one day, And as far as you're saying, like, are we ever going to have one with, 2 real days? I mean, Friday is a real day, so we do have a 2-day event.
I think he's speaking on, a full, complete day.
Friday is no less important than Saturday is, and Saturday is no less important than Friday is. There's completely different things happening on both days.
Now, William, you're speaking of a full weekend,
I wasn't discounting Friday. I was not discounting Friday, but let's be honest. People work on Friday. Kids have to go to school on Friday. It's not like an all-day event where people can spend a lot of time, maybe catch some lunch, and catch some performances and things like that. And that's another question.
That's
mentioned
for a weekend, because like what you're saying, William, I agree with that, because in different shows that I've been to throughout the states, Friday is a very slow day, no matter what show it is, unless you're at the San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con. Friday is slow at most events.
And Friday is usually like if someone's going to the New York or the San Diego or whatever, Friday is often the travel day. To get there if you're coming from outside of the
when
state.
They arrive.
That's why a lot of them just do a reception Friday night that goes till 10 or 12, so there's kind of a meet and greet. People can say, hey, haven't seen you since last time, and then they jump right in on Saturday. I was not in any way trying to minimize, the fact that you have events on Friday night. It's just that...
Oh, we know that.
Well, it didn't sound like you knew. That sounded like you were jumping on me, but that's okay.
I knew what you were saying. I knew what you were saying. We got that.
Yeah, okay. Now tell everybody what venue are you at next weekend?
Well, we're at Youthville Center.
We're at Youthville. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
Youthville Center, which is 7375 Woodward Avenue. It's right in Midtown Detroit, right at Grand Boulevard, not too far from the Amtrak train station.
Yes, West Grand Boulevard. It's a block. It's on Woodward, a block from West Grand Boulevard. It's right around the corner of West Grand Boulevard. Yes.
You can't miss it. Big gray building. You can't miss it.
At all.
It's easy to find.
Yeah, is it
beautiful building.
Is it a convention friendly venue? Does it? You mentioned that you've got a ton of people who are going to be there, and it's going to be tough cramming everybody in there. But still, it is a convention-friendly venue, and people are going to feel very comfortable in there. They're going to be able to get around easily. Adequate parking
yeah.
and all of
It's a
that?
huge
Okay,
place.
cool.
So we have
there's a parking
for the
garage. It's
workshop.
free parking, and there's a parking lot that's free also.
That's
Yeah,
good.
A lot
And
of
you
parking.
have to,
Like, no one has to park on the street.
and you do have to mention things like that. You know, here in Chicago, every now and then we'll have an event like that. Well, we've got what is it, C2E2 here,
Right.
and you know, people get shocked.
Right.
You know, they get sticker shock when they drive up and find out the minimum they're going to have to pay for parking is $12 or $16. And even if something is free, I mean, that's still a considerable amount of money, you know. So this is good that you guys have free parking, free admission, free, you know, all of your events are free and all of your panels are free. And then, of course, you know, obviously if people want to pick up swag, comics, things like that, you know, they're going to have to pay for that.
That's
well,
right.
I mean, that, well, of course. I mean, you know, let's be honest. There is that part of commerce.
Yep.
Yeah. No, people are there obviously to sell their wares, and content creators want to be able to be, I don't want to say rewarded, but they want to be compensated for their hard work. I mean, that goes without saying. But you know,
we're
guys
charging people $20 at the door, or $10 at the door. You know, when they get in there, you know, they see a comic book that they want to buy, or a T-shirt, or a poster, and that's $10. They can't afford it because they've already spent their money at the door.
Exactly.
Plus,
or if Mama brought 4 children, brought 4 children and she just paid for parking, and she had to pay to come in, guess what? 4 children not gonna get a book.
Well, not only that, but you know what? If you have $10 worth of parking and it's $10 to get in and $5 for kids, you know, you're looking at $50 to get in to show up, and these days in a tough economy, that's a rough road to hoe. And so no, this is good. I mean, it should be stressed that you guys have eliminated as many of the hurdles to attendance as possible. And hopefully you get enough people who know that locally, or who may be even traveling through the area, that you know, if they want to show up, they can park their car for free. They don't have to worry about paying for that, and they can walk right in the door and check everything out. And I think that that's very important. And you guys should be commended for doing that, because of course it's a big damn deal for kids.
Right.
And one of the things I would like to see happen is, you know, since you've made it so financially friendly, if you did, I mean, it would be great if all of a sudden schools started arranging for field trips, you know, where you could get busloads of kids coming in who normally would not be exposed to the kinds of products, the kinds of content, the kinds of, you know, that sort of thing. So, I mean, I'm hoping, I mean, have you seen that yet?
Well, this year, Youthville is
we're
involved
working
with 3
on that
schools.
This year. Last year,
Youthville is involved with 3 different schools, and they're supposed to be working on getting busloads of children from the 3 different schools, because their attendance is mainly from one school right now. So that's what we're looking at doing.
That's great. That's great. You're listening to the Genesis Science Fiction Radio Show, a service of the BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website. This is the September 20th, 2013 edition. We're talking to Andre. And do you prefer Crown, or should I call you? What do you prefer?
You can call me
to call
Crown.
you? Okay.
I prefer
and Crown. And these are the I would say at least near the top of the food chain in terms of being the brain trust for the Motor City Black Age Comics Convention that is coming up next weekend in Detroit. And the events start on Friday with a reception with several premieres of films, including one that Andre wrote or co-wrote and did a lot of work on. So for those people who may be in the area, or maybe traveling, or even know other people who are going to be in the area, please let them know that this event is going on. Andre, did you put the event up on the events calendar here at BSFS?
I think
I did earlier this year.
It is. If not, I'll make sure later tonight But and for those people who want to take a look at something on the web, a little more information about it, go to no www, but go to motorcityblackage.weebly, weebly.com, and take a look at. Actually, I just clicked on it, and this is cool seeing all these people sitting up here, and it's not a police lineup. I like that. I like that a lot, and check it out, because this is an all black event that has grown. I mean, pretty much. I mean, when you stop and think, you said what, 12 people the first time in 2009?
Right.
12 people, and you're expecting 700 or more next weekend. I mean, that's great growth, man. And
we expecting way more than that this year.
Excellent.
We had that last year. It's going to be insane this year. We trying to get 1,200 this year.
Well, that's
we
good, because
this year.
It speaks to the fact that
major turnout.
Yeah, it's more than self-sustaining. You've put together an event that obviously is not only going to do well and be seen by more and more people. There's going to be enough longevity so that there'll be one next year and the following year and the following year. And let's talk about that a little bit. What do you two think? What do you think? Let's look 5 years down the road. What do you think the Motor City is going to be? Let's say in 2018, almost 2020. How big do you think this will grow? What kinds of things are you looking to branch out into? Take a look at your own future and describe what you see.
Man. Well, I know it's going to, I can see a whole lot as far as the growth is concerned. I'm looking at more, black people as far as comic book artists,
right,
animators, screenwriters. I could see more movie premiere type things going on at the event, a bigger venue, obviously. I could see more people of all persuasions coming in. Because of the fact that once it gets to that point, everybody's gonna want to come out.
Right.
I could see more sponsors.
Yeah. Corporate sponsors will be a big deal, because corporate sponsors also are kind of a yardstick for success, because they don't put money any place where they don't think they're going to get a return.
Right.
So if you pull out some Fortune 500s, you know that in certain ways you will have arrived. I'm hoping. Now let me ask you this: I'm a novelist. Yeah, I'm a screenwriter, but mostly I'm a novelist. When you're going to invite folks like me? I have been checking the mail every day. I've been checking my email every day. Nothing. I'm sick, and I understand the whole thing about the ankle bracelet. You might want to say, well, I don't want to make him feel bad, but no. I mean, do you have those kind of content creators as well? Do you see a lot of booksellers there?
Not yet. We have Oscar Wilson is coming in this year. He's a novelist.
Sure.
He's a screenwriter as well. He did a movie called The Fury that he'll be screening Saturdays. And he's got a basis class based off of the movie that he showed. We may have Eric Cooper. He's a novelist as well as a comic book creator.
Right.
He's going to be there. We have a few right now, but I'm looking at several more. My partner, Kevin Hallman, he's a novelist as well. So I can see.
And then Gerald Wright said he was going to do it next year.
I can see several people coming on board as far as novelists are concerned, outside of the comic book genre. The graphic novels, I could see that as well, and that goes back into what I was saying as far as I can see more screenplays, screenings. I can see more premieres rather. I could see all that. More gaming being involved. I could see more of that as well.
Yeah, and it does sound like you are wedded to keeping this in Detroit, because I mean that's an identity that you guys have now, and
absolutely.
Yeah, and despite the things that people hear in the news about Detroit, the bigger this gets, the more people are going to hear about it, and the more people are going to realize that it's more than just having what you hear on nightly news about the city, that the city is vital, the city is alive, excuse me, and has a wealth of talent there that should be showcased.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So, what else do you guys want to talk about for the convention, or are there Well, what about you, Crown? What other things do you have going on with you, either creatively or events or anything like that?
Okay, well, before I say that, because I have another major event coming in December, I was going to make sure I told you all about that. But also, I forgot to mention that nationally renowned artist Sabrina Nelson is also going to be painting live. So I wanted to make sure that I made mention of that, because Sabrina is kind of a big deal. So we are very excited to have Sabrina Nelson. We're going to have comedian Mike Larry perform. We're going to have singer-songwriter and slam coach Phoenix perform. So it's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on next weekend. A lot of stuff going on next weekend. So we're really excited about that. As far as myself, I'm an executive assistant. I also own three businesses. I'm an executive sous chef. I have a company called Cooking Ciphers. Mm-hmm. I teach cooking classes. I do private chef. Private chef is where I do 3 to 5 course meals at a location of your choice. I'm a personal chef. I do meal planning. I'll come to your home and do 1 week to 4 weeks, help you with your dietary needs and all of that. I'm also owner of Crown's Royalties. That is African trade bead jewelry company and all natural body products. I vend all across the state of Michigan. No, that's a lie, because I don't go to Upper Peninsula. So let me stop lying about that.
Well, I spent a year. I spent a year up there in Houghton, and that was. I spent a year up there in Houghton, and that was the biggest mistake of my life. I never knew that a part of the United States of America got that much snow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I'm also owner. Did I say all three businesses? Yeah, that knocked it out. So Amiet Enterprises is my main company. Amiet Enterprises is my main company. It's like my parent company. I'm an executive assistant. I manage small businesses. I used to do it more before this year, but I manage small businesses. I do product placement, manage artists. I throw events. One of my events that are coming up, I throw with two other brothers, Brother Nathaniel and Brother Lawrence of the Nation of Islam. We have them 2 times a year, one in May, one in December. It is a huge event. It's called Brothers in Motion. The next one is December 21st. It's at Tangent Gallery. If anybody is interested, just find me on Facebook. I'll give you the information before I show
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. You already know I will. So that's an event in December. Also, I help coordinate, once again, Black Comic Book Day. This year we had it at Detroit Public Library. It was a beautiful turnout. That's also a free event. I try to keep the majority of my events free, because I believe in free. So,
Well,
I'm not. Huh?
Yeah, let's be honest. Keeping the barrier to attend and the barrier to participate as low as possible.
Right, it's 10 and under for me. It's 10 and under for me. I try to stay 10 and under.
It makes a big difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference, because what it does is it increases participation, and in the long term, the more the better.
Absolutely, yeah. And I always want to make sure that everyone is accessible. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to throw an event that's going to be $25, $35, $50, $60 because I know if I'm charging that much, then it better be worth it. You know what I mean? So I try to go 10 and under, and I still try to make those 10 and under events. People come in like, oh, my God, this was free? Like, y'all didn't charge for this? No, so make sure you come again next year, and make sure you put some Instagram pictures all on Facebook while you're here right now. Make sure you put a tweet. Make sure you hashtag while you're at the event, you know, so people can come. You know, I'm very adamant about social media. Social media is everything. You know, there's people that's on Facebook all day, all night, and not being productive. You know, I'll be on there a lot, but, I mean, you see me hustling at least 6 of the 9 posts, and everybody knows that. So, you know, I believe in social media because social media can make or break you. And when it comes to an event, like, you really have to be on your A game. Just like Andre said, like, we've been on this event since the week after the last one. I've been grinding since the week after the last one for this event. And, you know, we just go harder and harder and harder every month because you have to do that. And then also, this is Detroit. This is a city for entertainment. It is a million events, not just every weekend, but all week long. It is a million things every single day of the year in Detroit. So you have to, like, grind hard. You have to promote your own event as much as possible because you know you're going to be in competition with 12 other events that same day.
Sure.
So it's just, you know, what's not going on. I'm also part of Detroit Design Fest, which is a huge 3-day event in Detroit. That's this weekend. Tomorrow I'm going to be part of Design in Motion. That is a live graffiti contest, live custom car contest, and live b-boy contest, and that'll be outside in the Grand River Corridor project. So there's a lot going on. Like, they're on Liver Noise tonight, and they say it's like 2,000 people outside on Liver Noise tonight. It's crazy. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Detroit. Don't turn the news off if you hear anybody say anything different because they're lying. Detroit is on fire right now. They're paying people to move here.
Okay, already about Detroit. We know Detroit is busy. Now, I'll tell you right now, it ain't as busy as Chicago, so you can just be quiet about that. But seriously, though, where can people kind of check out where, you know, like, do you have is it your Facebook page? Is it your Twitter feed? Where's the best place for people?
So I have 20,000 websites, so I'll just say amonyet.weebly. That's AMONYET.weebly.com.
Cool, and that's the best place for people to look up your stuff.
Yes, because you can connect to not only my Facebook fan pages, but you can connect to all of my web pages as well on a tablet. So that's my main website. I only have to give you one to give you 4.
Okay. All right, then. So everybody check that out. Andre, you know, when you started this in 2009, and but what kind of, I mean, as a black creative, let's take us back to the, you know, the onset of when you started producing, and was it comics to start with?
Yes, it started with comics initially. And then that's when I obviously got into doing the convention. But it's always been comics. And then I eventually got into digital comics and motion comics.
Mm-hmm. And how long ago did you start?
Was this doing dreadlocks or the actual comics?
No, just, I mean, obviously you've got that creative side to you. When did that start manifesting itself, and when did you know? Age. When did you know? You know.
That started when I was reading Marvel comic books as a kid. We get these visuals that we were so happy to see every week. The Spider-Mans, the Superman, Doctor Strange. Eventually Black Panther. We started drawing those characters. Making up our own stories off of those characters. Right. That's been since maybe the early 70s.
Wow. And
when I created Dreadlocks, that was in the mid-90s. When I created Dreadlocks and started my own comic book line. And me and
what was
my partner, we started the Urban Style Comics back then.
Uh-huh. And what was the impetus for that? You just decided you wanted to create content that looked like us, or what?
I wanted to create content that represented, us for the most part, because once I started getting back into reading comics again, I think that's when you had the explosion by Image Comics. With Youngblood, Rob Liefeld, and all of these guys, and seeing what they did on an independent level, and they were all Caucasians for the most part outside of Jim Lee, and I seen what they could do, and I seen what we were doing, with Brother Dawood, Brother Dwayne McDuffie, all of them, what they were doing in the early '90s, but the comic book language was still the same in the sense of the stories were still, the same. It was nothing spectacular that could elevate me as far as reading a comic book. I would read it and still get like a corny story for the most part. Nothing that was going to elevate me in the sense that I felt that I learned something out of this book that I read. Of course, I liked the images, but I didn't learn anything, as far as the story was concerned, that would hold my attention. So now I just read, like graphic novels. I got into the graphic novels. But when I created Dreadlocks, I added content from the motherland. I started adding a lot of that in there from information and knowledge that I had of myself. And by doing so, it was something that helped in the sense of, it helped in the sense where more people were willing to read Dreadlocks and accept Dreadlocks into their household as a black comic book that everyone loves to read, not just love to read, but love to read, because it's got that good information in it that they don't see every day. And a lot of times the information in it is something that they can go and research on their own, because I set it up for them to research the information.
And what kind of feedback? I mean, early on, what kind of feedback did you get?
When I first started Dreadlocks?
Yep. Way back
when. Dreadlocks was really, it was a hardcore book. It was very hard. The feedback was good and negative at the same time. The one good feedback that was from this guy that was doing the comic book, I forget his name. He told me that he liked the story of Dreadlocks or whatever. He could see the potential in it, and art and everything of Dreadlocks. But he told me if I wanted it to go further, or if I wanted to go further with this creation, then I needed to concentrate on one or the other. Concentrate on the art or concentrate on the story, because in doing both, it's not.
You're dropping out there, or maybe I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Well, let's hope Andre can get back soon.
Hello?
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, what was the last part you got?
You were talking about the feedback, and that you were told that if you were going to do well, you had to concentrate on one or the other of, and that's where you kind of fell off.
Okay. Well, I connected with Abdul Rashid, which is out of Michigan as well. And he started doing the artwork, and I just continued doing the stories, because the information that I was putting in the stories, another writer couldn't put that information in it unless they were learned of the same information. They had to have known, what I was reading and what I've learned myself in order for them to create a powerful story for Dreadlocks.
Sure.
And that's what I do now. I just continue writing. Sometimes I get in and do a pin up here and there and do some colorizations, and that's about the extent right now. But I continue writing the story.
And is where is it sitting now? I mean, do you have obviously you still continued it, correct?
Right.
And
so right
and
now,
what kind of readership do you have at this point?
My readership is pretty good right now. Internet is pretty good for me. Like I was saying, as far as social media and, I should say, the World Wide Web has helped urban style comics quite a bit. Because, I have people overseas, that's interested in the book. People right here, obviously, in the States, all the way out in L.A., interested in the book.
Right.
Because it's gotten out there thanks to the World Wide Web.
Uh-huh.
So my readership is pretty good. I like it because I'm consistent. Everybody's not as consistent. And when I have the next book come out, which should be sometime in December, it's going to be the best book as far as of urban style comics Dreadlocks ever done.
Even if you say so yourself, right?
Right.
Do you have like a preview of that so people can take a look, or if
well,
not,
one thing about me, which I'm sure you noticed somewhat, is I don't preview a whole lot of my books.
No, you don't. You're very close-mouthed about that.
I show some things here and there. There's not much that I want to show because I want people to be, by me establishing a fan base already, I want them to be eager and ready to get it as soon as it come out, because they know once it come out, they got to have it.
Right. And you'll be posting up, at least at BSFS, you'll put it on the events calendar when the debut will be, so that people can know when they can check out your latest work, correct?
Right. Yes, I had posted a couple pages of the book maybe a week ago. One of my pages, page 6, and I posted it as a gift to the Motor City Black Age to have dreadlocks thinking to itself, saying, time for the Motor City Black Age, and it has a nice skyline view of Detroit City.
Sure.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's really, really nice.
Well, that's good, man. And you know what? The thing that I like about Motor City is that it has steady growth. You guys haven't outrun or gotten too far ahead of what it is you've created. And how some people try to do all things at one time and they fail to do anything well and the whole thing falls apart. It looks like you've got very, very steady growth with that. You've got the, obviously you've got a great readership for dreadlocks. And so it looks like you've managed to balance, all of these different things that you do pretty well. To what do you attribute that success for people who have to try to create their own content, do their own marketing? Essentially, you have to be a full-fledged entrepreneur as a content creator. How do you balance all of that?
Well, first off, I have to, thank Crown, and I have to thank Mark Blackshear for that.
For helping out.
For helping out in the sense of the Motor City Black Age.
Sure.
Because you have to put this in perspective. If it wasn't for them, that wouldn't be my first priority.
Right.
My first priority would be my content that I've created. But I have the mindset at the same time, my content has to be displayed somewhere besides Wizard World. Because in Wizard World, I'm just the spectacle in the event. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Black Age, Motor City Black Age, East Coast Black Age Comics, and Onyx Con, everybody there looks like me, and I look like them. You know what I mean? So it's good and it's perfect.
Right.
So with that being said, I still would have been concentrated on doing the Motor City Black Age, but I have to thank them for coming in and adding what they added to getting to the event to keep going and functioning the way it's functioning. Other than that, my whole concentration would strictly be my book. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But we needed something like this in Detroit, so it works out. It would have happened some type of way.
People should not be surprised that there's so much creativity in Detroit, that good things culturally come out of it. You can't discount that one of the greatest influences on music worldwide came out of that
right.
city. You know, you have a plethora of talent. You have a lot of people that people just don't think about, and that's a shameful narrative that we have in this country. That the only thing that we can talk about these cities, like right now in Chicago, you know, one of our main newspapers, the Republican kind of slanted Chicago Tribune, it's like they revel in the fact that they can put, you know, the daily tally of who got shot, who got hurt here, you know, and you know, they talk about Detroit. Oh, it's bankrupt, and you know, it's the public workers who have bankrupted the city, and not the people who destroyed a middle class. I mean, you got a class of bankers out there who, I mean, let's be honest, conservatives in one generation destroyed the world's economy. And you know what? The credit goes there. It's not us. It's not you know, when did school teachers ruin the economy? Well, obviously that's ludicrous if you think about it. And so when you look at Detroit and you look at the problems and you look at what you hear about, it's not a fair portrayal.
Not at all.
And the fact of the matter is, here you are. You're a guy. You work. You pay your bills. You're creative. You know other creatives. You've got a whole different community that you know of, that you exist in. That if you watch television, you listen to the radio, you read the newspaper, you read the internet, it doesn't exist. Right. Exactly, and that's a hell of a hurdle to get over in terms of trying to create, you know, a convention like this. In terms of even trying to convey, you know, like you said, if it wasn't for the fact that dreadlocks was out there and people knew about it, how would you all of a sudden step off and say, hey, I want to create something, and I want to create something that's based in Detroit and lauds the city's creativity? That's a tough row to hoe. And the fact that you've managed to do this so many years in a row and you're getting bigger every year is a testament to the hard work that you and Crown and the others have put into pushing this show. Let me ask you this. When you go to other shows, do people ask you about the Motor City show? I mean, are you getting more and more recognition?
Well, like East Coast Black Age of Comics, they would ask Onyx Con, they would ask, but if you're asking about the black shows versus the white shows, they don't ask that at Wizard World. You know, I don't think those people are really concerned about that. What's going on Sandy, as far as the Black Age of Comics. You know, I don't see, you know, Wizard World saying, hey, Mr. Batch, how's your show going? You know,
what, they don't call you up? They don't call you up from San Diego and ask you how it's all? No. What they've done at these different shows, what I've noticed is they've had what they call black panels at these shows. And I'm kind of like leery about a black panel. I'll put a black panel, no problem. But I'm more into, you know, just having a show where all the panelists, all the panel discussions, all the workshops, all the screenings and everything, more or less is related to us. That's how their show is structured. It's like these creators back there, comics, and he's been around all this time, but you'll have a 90%, 95%, you know, Caucasian audience, and your creations are 90%. Right. I mean, I've always said, and I've actually gotten beat down on it. Well, actually, no, nobody beats me down, because, you know, you cross me, you take what you get. But one of the things that I've contended is that black content, in order to be culturally and financially successful, has to appeal to the mainstream as well. And because I believe that if we only create content just for us, you know, that's okay, you've got a certain amount of low-hanging fruit, but then how much growth do we really have? And it would be nice. I mean, I have seen with all of the people I've interviewed who are content creators, especially in the comic book and the art fields, that they get much, much more publicity, much more feedback, and they're a lot more popular outside the country than they are within the mainstream of American culture. Have you found that yourself?
I've seen it slightly.
Yeah.
The thing about when you say black content, I don't feel that I create what you call black content. I don't.
Right.
That's the difference with me being the writer that I am. My content, the image is black.
Right.
But the content is universal because it's something that happens with everyone in the sense, like the stories are more universal, more so than just being stuck in the hood, No,
that's what I'm talking about.
Something like that. No, just saying.
My
content is much more elevated. That's what I was speaking on earlier about elevation and reading stories that aren't elevating. You know what I mean? That's why I feel that I have a nice following with Dreadlocks because of the fact that the stories are elevating. And it's good because it's not, going after people that oppress you and me.
Right.
We can do that all day, but it's not going to be any sales with that. You know what I mean? We already know what was done or whatever the case may be. But the content is based on where we were before that time period came. And that's why I get an interest in what I write.
And if the writing has universal appeal, if the stories are relatable to people on a personal level, rather than, trying to conform to some niche sociology, obviously success should come to you because those are the kinds of stories that people relate to.
Right.
And when you set out to write, obviously when you write in your Dreadlocks universe, you've already got, the structure, the characters, and things like that. How's the process of creation now? Is it easier? Is it so ingrained in you that compared to when you started out, you're finding the storylines, the plots, the story arcs are coming to you easier?
Well, the storylines come pretty easy. It's about plotting it the way I want it to go. That's where an issue may come in right there, and plotting the whole story. But writing the synopsis of the story, that's the easy part. You know, you have it in your head. You know what you want to go on, but you have to put it in a certain order, and it has to look right in the sense of, the artist get on board to draw it. It has to look like what you're actually writing. Or if you're laying it out for the artist, they have to be able to lay it out, and your layouts have to depict what you're writing. So hopefully, people gravitate to it. They're going to gravitate to the visual first. We already know that. Then once they get to the story, I want them to be able to follow it. And, based on once they're plotting together as far as the story is concerned.
And I'm going to ask you first, and I'm going to ask Crown, what is your schedule for next weekend, and your accessibility for people who would like to meet you?
Well, as far as me, they'll be able to
I run around like a crazy bat, so everybody going to see me.
Yeah,
so.
They'll be able
try
to
to
meet
sit down this year.
They'll probably
we'll both be on the main stage. We'll be in the main room on the main stage. Both of our vending tables will be on there, so just like last year.
You won't be able to miss it.
So it will be very easy to find.
Okay. Let me ask it again. What's your schedule? I know you're going to be there all day, but are the two of you engaged in any of the panels for Saturday?
Well, the only panel that I'm involved with is the one panel that, like I said, we're going to have the different artists on board. That's only like 30, 45 minutes.
Sure.
Arbel Jones,
the main panel discussion at 3 o'clock.
Outside of that, like I was saying earlier, a minute ago, I'll reiterate that I'm available all day except for those 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the two of you are going to be pretty easy to find, seeing as how you're going to be having to manage the entire event, right?
We've got volunteers who's going to come board to help out on things that we need taken care of. So it's not like we're going to be running everywhere, you know, to the point where, oh, no one can find me. Somebody been looking for Andre Batts like last year, looking for Andre Batts for 30 minutes, and they can't find him till 40 minutes later. No, this time around, they'll find Andre Batts right away.
Yeah. Crown, what's the best part? What's the most fun part about putting this whole event together for you?
Seeing the children's reactions, seeing coloring books, comic books, graphic novels, seeing them see books that they've never seen before is just a wonderful feeling. Every time I see a child's face and Abdul Rashid draws them into superheroes live right at the convention, so, you know, they have a blast. They have an absolute blast, so that's always my favorite part, is seeing their reactions, because it's a lot of hard work, but the day of, you know, it's fun.
Mhm. And
so
Andre, what about you?
Part, just seeing the children's reaction.
Yeah, basically, she just took the words right off my page there. Yeah, the kids, you know, their reaction, yeah, that's amazing right there. You know, once you see that, you know, it motivates me even more to continue in the sense of creating what I create in my comic books, and also to make sure that the Motor City Black Age keep going, because this is what we need, and this is what they need, is to see that. Because like you were speaking on earlier today, sometimes, you know, when you look at television, if their parents watching television and their kids are watching it with them, all you see is negative things. TV. That's all the news knows how to report. I was reading on the news earlier today, Chicago, and the 13 people that were shot in the park, and a 3-year-old kid being shot out there at 10:30 at night. You know, so that's what they like to report. So for the kids to get out,
but all the art and culture in Chicago, nowhere to be found on the news.
Right, but for people to get out to see the event, the Motor City Black Age Comics, and, you know, they come out, they appreciate it, you know, the parents appreciate it, and they look forward to bringing their kids the following year. I had so many kids this past year, or young adults now, this past year, the last show were telling me, you know, I've been reading Dreadlocks since I was a teenager. My parents bought this for me. You know what I mean? It's wrong now.
That's got to feel good, man, that you've got not only that kind of interest, but, I mean, look at that longevity, man. That's pretty cool.
Right. It's really good.
Yeah.
One of the very few.
Yeah.
He's one of the very few comic book artists I know that has books out every year. And sometimes he has multiple books out the same year. Fact.
Yeah.
That is fact.
Now, are you going to have do you have like a staff photographer who's going to be shooting pictures at the event?
Well,
a lot of them.
There's a lot of freelancers that's going to be out, you know, shooting pictures. We don't have a staff photographer.
Okay.
We always get pictures.
No, because the reason why I was asking is because it would be great if you could post them up on BSFS next week, so that people can take a look at what they missed, and also, you know, since you know, like you said, you start planning for the next one about 15 minutes after the last one ended. People can maybe look at their long-term plans and go, you know, this is someplace I want to be. So it would be great if we could see pictures of the event, and then obviously we'll send them to motorcityblackage.weebly.com so that they can take a look at, you know, the main event pictures. But it'd be great to have some here too, and obviously we'll post up links.
We have vendors asking us, can they pay for next year? I'm like, can y'all wait till this year? Y'all wait till this event
Yeah, how many vendors?
People trying to pay for next year.
Yeah, how many vendors do you have registered for this year's event?
45.
About 60. I just counted them as 49 vendors, and with the performers and the vendors, it's like 61, 62. So it's a lot. And today's the cutoff day. So.
Yeah,
tonight is.
that's a nice crowd. That's actually a nice number. So not only do people have the benefit of the events that are scheduled, that's a lot of different things that they can look at that they could possibly purchase and take home.
And we have a lot. We have a lot of out of state vendors. It's not hardly just Detroit. Like, we have a lot of out of state vendors. So it's really nice. Yeah. From California to Chicago to Atlanta to Carolina to Louisiana, everywhere. So it's just people coming from all over the place. So we're in Florida, we're really excited about that as well, that we have a very diverse amount of vendors from all across the U.S., just like we did last year. So that's a good thing.
And so, again, so people know, what time do you start on Friday?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Friday.
9 p.m. on Friday.
Okay, and then you go from 11 to 6 on Saturday. For those who are interested in attending. And you said the venue is gorgeous. For people who want to take a look at directly at your the website.
The venue is called Youthville Detroit. It's also a youth center. They have state-of-the-art classes in that building, and it's only $25 per student for an entire semester, and they could take however many classes that they want all year long. They have everything from DJ classes to beat making classes to computer engineering classes. There's all types of different classes in there. The cartooning, anime, and comic book classes. They have a lot of different stuff going on. I think it's like 2, 3, 4
quite a bit.
level building. It's very, very industrial looking building. It's very nice. Usher sponsors that building. He has a lot of programs in there. Big Boy has a lot of programs inside that building as well. So it's a beautiful building.
And so the website for people who want to look at the specifics and the schedule, or would they be going to MotorCityBlackAge.weebly.com, or where would they be going?
Correct. They
Okay,
can go on Motor City Black Age. They can go on our Motor City Black Age.weebly page, .weebly.com, or they can also go on our Facebook fan page, which is Motor City Black Age of Comics on Facebook.
Okay.
They can go on
and they get to see both you. They get to see 60 different vendors and performers, and obviously it's exciting enough and fun enough that our own the creator of BlackScienceFictionSociety.com website is going to be making an appearance there too. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And finally, we've got about 15 minutes left. Let's talk about where. I mean, we talked about where you want to be in 5 years. Obviously, you want to be bigger. You want to probably encompass a lot more genres besides comics and just art or whoever will be showing up now. You want to cover more content. Are you looking to partner with more creatives and more people in your area and even outside your area? I mean, I know you want to keep it at a Detroit event, but what about strategic partnerships with any other outside organizations? Have you thought in that area, or is this going to be a fairly insular? You want to keep it just a Detroit kind of, just you guys putting it together?
Well, the way Detroit is growing,
you want me to answer
anybody we end up partnering with 9 times out of 10, they're going to want to partner and keep it in Detroit. I could see that because of the how positive it has been or whatever, especially by us having so many different venues in Detroit. I could see that happening more so than them wanting to move it outside of Detroit. There's so many other venues outside of Detroit as well already, but they're not related to the inner city youth, and that's what they're trying to appeal to now. In Detroit right now, even though we're hearing bankruptcy, you still seeing new things popping up constantly.
Not hardly true. Right.
So with that being said, I could see if a partnership took place than it would be them bringing it to Detroit, I'm sure.
And
as long as there's buildings called the Renaissance Center, Joe Louis Arena, it's too many places in the city of Detroit for us to sell out the city of Detroit and be like, okay, well, I know we've been promoting it, like, yeah, we actually in Detroit, but 2017 we're gonna be in Novi. We're gonna be in Dearborn. Like,
yeah.
I know your kids can't
that.
make it out there, but we all about money, so we gonna have it. We're gonna have it in Southfield.
I don't
we want to make sure it stays in Detroit.
Well, that's
we
good.
very adamant about it.
Yeah, last time I was in Detroit, I guess it was the mid-'90s, and I stayed at the Renaissance Center, and there wasn't very much around there. From what I've seen, obviously during football coverage and things like that, the downtown area is looking a lot better. How to talk a little bit, Andre, talk a little bit about how you see community development going, in light of, the bankruptcy and all of those sorts of things. Do you think that you're going to see more economic development, or do you think that this bankruptcy is going to kind of cause a dip in the economy until, some further time in the future when more investment comes in? I mean, what does it look like for you guys who are on the ground?
This is the way I see it right here. The bankruptcy is for the city. I'll just say that it's for the city. Just because the city of Detroit is claiming bankruptcy, it doesn't mean that everybody in Detroit is bankrupt.
Of course.
So, with that being said, I don't see that really affecting people on the ground level that's trying to get corporate sponsorship or anything like that, because we have corporations now to this day from New York buying up property in Detroit because of them claiming bankruptcy.
Right.
So, With that being said, I could see it moving needs to be or whatever, because once again, that bankruptcy is a facade. That's it. It's a facade, no matter how you look at it.
Well, conventional wisdom.
And might I add that Detroit is one of the largest artist communities right now in the world, and that's not me bigging it up. That's fact. We have huge art community in the city of Detroit. It is people moving from all over the world, of all cultures, from the lightest skin to the darkest melanin. It's more non-black people in Detroit than it is black people right now. But that's another whole conversation in itself. They're building properties and businesses all in Midtown, downtown, Corktown, Bricktown, all over Detroit. It is a lot of stuff going on in Detroit. We have galleries door to door, and not just the storefront brick and mortars. We have huge galleries anywhere from Mbad African Bead Museum that gets world renowned recognition, all the way to Charles H. Wright Museum of African History, to Liberal Arts Gallery, to Virgil Carr Art Gallery. It's a lot of stuff going on in Detroit, but no one is ever going to focus on that. All people are going to focus on is bankruptcy. But the people here know. So we all at the end of the conversation, we want to encourage everyone to come to Detroit so they can see what they don't know about the city.
Well, I mean, conventional wisdom outside the city is that, the main reason for the city declaring bankruptcy is union busting. One of the things that they wanted to do was they stole that pension money for all of those union retirees. They looted it. They looted the pension money, and declaring bankruptcy is a way to break the unions. And it's not a hard stretch, and certainly the business model is not new. In the 60s, here in Chicago on the South Side, they burnt up. They burnt out whole swaths of the South Side, so that white developers can buy up the land, do what they want to do, and create the city that they want to create at rock bottom prices. And a lot of people have said that this is exactly what's happening in Detroit. So, obviously you have people living there. You have people who are doing their jobs. You have kids going to school. The city is still a live, vital place. And as you brought up, Crown, you've got this huge number of creatives of all kinds of colors who live in the area and are contributing to the culture of the city. But again, that's not the narrative that serves, the powers that be, that serves people who want to use the city for their own use, who want to build a city that serves a certain class of people. I think that when you take into account what you guys are doing and the kinds of creatives that you're bringing to the forefront, how do you see that affecting culturally what may be going on over the next decade?
I don't see the affecting.
I'm sorry?
I don't see the affecting as far as the narrative that's being given out about Detroit and the creators that's in Detroit. I don't see it affecting any of that, because throughout history, all those that were creative, it didn't affect anything that they're doing, whatever was going on with their, country and country statuses or whatever. They were still creating, still being artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to. And you guys are going to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
You're not going to run out to the suburbs. You're not going to all of a sudden become some sort of elitist kind of conference. It sounds like you are going to keep on keeping on. What kind of community? Yeah, Andre. What kind of community outreach do you think you guys are going to be doing, maybe over the next 5 to 10 years?
A lot of people will be reaching out to us once they, get on board with what's going on with Motor City Black Age of Comics.
Sure.
I'm looking at doing a canvas project.
We definitely want to open a store up.
I'm looking at a canvas project with Youthville, probably within the next 6 months. That community outreach where we get a lot of different kids together that are, future artists, do this canvas eventually. That's one of my first projects and looking at working on. There's several things, that I have on the books, that I'm thinking about doing, but for sure the canvas would be one of the first.
Sure. All right, so we're in the last 5 minutes of the show. You've got this great event coming up this coming weekend. And as many people as possible, if you are in the Detroit area, things kick off at 6 p.m. next Friday night. There are a number of world premieres of movies, one that Andre co-wrote. And you have a reception, right? Did I read that right? Do you have a meet and greet?
Yes, a meet and greet. It's more of a meet and greet than a reception. It's a networking hour because we want to make sure people have quality time to talk one-on-one with each artist if they feel like they want to, or network and stuff like that.
What time does that start?
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
Okay, so that does start at 6 o'clock. And then the movies, you start doing the premieres of the movies about what time?
It should start, I think, around 6.
I have to look at the schedule.
Crown has the schedule.
Okay.
We'll be posting the schedule anyway.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. And then, for those people who want to take a look
online and on our website.
Yeah, and for people who want to take a look at the schedule, get a little more information, excuse me, we're looking at motorcityblackage.weebly.com, WEEDLEY.com, for more information about the upcoming convention. And
if you're on Twitter, you can hashtag. If you're on Twitter, you can hashtag MCBA 2013, and you'll see a million posts from all over the place, from Facebook to Twitter to Tumblr to Instagram to Pinterest. So we have it all over the place. So make sure you use the hashtag MCBA 2013, and you'll see all the posts that we've ever posted. So you'll see the schedule all over the place, because we also have an event page on Facebook, and that's the most prominent page of everything. That's where everybody is RSVPing and commenting and posting pictures and everything. So it's a really big following right now for the event.
that begs the question: have you guys thought about putting together, a panel discussion, if not this year, but next year, about event management and event promotion to talk about the nuts and bolts of how you guys do what you do?
Well, that haven't crossed my mind.
That's actually what I do for a living. Yes, that's actually my business.
That won't cost us anything, will it?
Definitely do that.
Hey, wait, that won't cost us anything, will it?
No, I don't think that. Here's the thing. What you guys have done is remarkable. You've put together a good event. You put together a viable event and one that has staying power. Let's be honest. A lot of these events go 1 year, maybe 2 years, and then the people just disband and they don't work. Here you are going into are we going into your 5th year?
This is the 5th year, right?
Yeah, we're going into your 5th year, and you're getting bigger and bigger every year. And to host a discussion about the nuts and bolts of how you do what you did, I think is just as viable a discussion as any other. I mean, this is more than creative, because you would be foolish to believe that the only thing viable to talk about for content creators is the process of creation. Every single content creator, every single entrepreneur has to know about the business of doing business. And so many people fall so short in that they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go to discuss what to do. And I think that, obviously you don't want to give away the farm or have somebody pop up in Detroit doing the same damn thing. But, what if a bunch of black folks in Des Moines, Iowa would like to at least figure out, or at least find out, what it takes to put together a successful event like yours? It would seem to me that breaking out something like that, I mean, think about that for your second day's worth of events. You could have a Sunday workshop on the business of doing business. And that's the one thing that I find is missing in a lot of these conventions. They do not talk about the business of doing business. Everybody talks about, content creation. Everybody talks about, the movies they've done. Everybody talks about the comics, this, that, and the other thing. But you know what? Behind all that content creation is a mechanism for doing commerce, for doing business, for marketing, for getting the word out. I mean, look at you guys. You guys have a massive social media campaign out there that it should be the envy of anybody who wants to put together any kind of event like this. I mean, you guys are everywhere, and explaining how you do that might be a worthy topic of a panel discussion. What do you think?
I agree. But I was asking you, that won't cost us anything, will it?
No, it's not going to cost you anything. And you know what? I'm not going to even ask for a commission on the idea. You guys can have the idea for free, okay? Hey, look, we're coming up. We're coming up to the top of the hour. I just hope that one day when you guys get big enough and you invite novelists, maybe you'll invite poor little old me, or maybe I'm going to have to just make a bigger movie that you all hear about. We're coming up to...
Well, we always invite novelists. It's just up to you all to purchase a table like that. But we do always invite novelists, though.
Yeah, you invite them to come in and pay for a table. Yeah, we're going to have to talk later.
You'll be invited next year for sure.
No, not you, honey. Not you. I'm just saying, like, we do invite novelists to events.
No, I'm teasing, Andre. I appreciate the thought, and if I do get up there, I would be honored to fill in any way you think possible. I hate to cut this short, but we're coming up to the top of the hour. I want to thank both of you for helping out and talking about what I think is probably one of the most exciting events in the area. I want people in Chicago, wherever nearby, to consider traveling up to Detroit next weekend to check out this event. And I also want to thank everybody who listens to this show, either live or as a podcast, because without you people checking it out, it just wouldn't happen. Andre, Crown, both of you, thank you for making this an easy 2 hours for me. You guys obviously have a lot to contribute. You've got a lot of ideas, and you've done some really great things. So thank you both for being here.
All right, thank you for having us.
Oh, anytime. And you know what? Maybe in the next few weeks we'll have you back and you can talk about how it all went, what the highs and the lows were, and again, maybe a little hint, a brief hint, a look into exactly what it takes to put this together, and what I'm going to do is apparently my board operator is somehow frozen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank the two of you very much. I want to remind everybody to check out the show. It's on every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or thereabouts, depending upon if everybody can get in. And then, of course, you follow it through every single time zone, 8 o'clock Central Time. And I want to thank people who listen. And for those of you who pick it up as a podcast, please listen, let people know about the show, because the more people who listen, the better off it is. And for those people who pick it up later as a podcast, thank you for picking it up later. It looks like, Jarvis, are you managing to get here?
Yes, I'm back.
All right, well then why don't you go ahead and take us out?
Well, I'm just going to make it really brief. I want to thank everybody for participating, from the people on Facebook, on the site, the host, and our guests. And I was so excited and impressed when I first ran across Urban Style Comics years ago. I was impressed when I met Andre in Atlanta a few years ago at OnyxCon, and I'm steadily impressed by the work that you're doing. It's much needed, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. I look forward to seeing you all next weekend.
Good.
Well,
We're looking forward to seeing you too.
Yeah. All right. It looks
All right.
like Andre might have hung up or been disconnected. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out, and we'll be back again next Friday.
All right.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody. Thank you again.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.